What's up, everybody? If you don't know me, my name is Sturke, and this is a continuation of our Thinking Apex series on YouTube. In this video, I'm going to break down the logic of how to think about your rotations, how to think them through. We're going to use Storm Point as an example, but the logic will follow to any map. This is how you should be thinking about your rotations. These are the things that you need to consider. I'm going to attempt to make this as brief as possible so that you can apply this immediately. I hope you guys liked the video. Please drop a like, comment, subscribe. There's lots of videos that will be coming in the future. Let's get started. All right, so I considered all of the different ways that I could do this, and I wanted to make sure that this was brief and concise, as well as gave you the tools to apply everything that you need in all the different zone possibilities there are, because there's so many, as well as any map or map changes that could possibly arise. We're going to be game theory at this point, so I'm going to show you the things you need to think about in order to equip yourself with the proper decision-making skills. So we're going to use paint, 3D paint, I think it's called. I'm going to draw you some imaginary zones here and talk you through how to think this through and how to approach this. That way we know exactly what we're all doing, okay? So one of the things you should be doing in general is just taking an idea. Remember where the flight path is. Remember where the bulk of people are landing. Really simply here, if this is the flight path, I'm going to know that there's probably not a lot of people on the north side of the map, right? That way, this will be relevant information moving forward, but we're going to leave that up there as the flight path because I think it's important to at least consider these sort of things. Let's say this is our flight path. Let's say, you know, we've kind of done a little bit of wandering, our initial looting. We're going to make this our first zone. If this is our first zone and this is our flight path, the only thing that you need to consider to have success here is I want you to consider where people are going to run into the zone from. Okay? The reason that you need to consider this is right now, everything outside of this zone is going to be pushed into the zone. And that may seem obvious to you. And that's fantastic. I hope it is obvious to you. But you need to consider that if you're on the edge of the zone, you're going to experience all of these people running towards the edge of that zone. So if me, little old me right here, if I stay right here and all of these points of interest are going to be pushed towards me, I'm going to be in for a clusterfuck, right? All of this traffic is heading my way and heading my way fast because everyone likes to run from the zone. I'm going to be in for some trouble here. Or I could take a power position and hold them out of the zone. These are how you need to be thinking about the zones. As the zones get smaller, things change a little bit more. So I want to consider the next zone, right? What we're going to say this is our next zone. The red circle is our next zone. Okay. Everything is done. Everything is done out of zone now. So all of this stuff is gone. Right? Zone's closed. We're now in the blue zone. That's the only playable area. Everybody who's running is going to run in. All right? Done. Now, in this next zone, I need to consider that at this point in time, the heavy traffic part of the zone is going to be all of this, all the white area. Why is this the heavy part of the zone? Because everybody, half this map, just ran into the zone. So most of the people that are still alive are going to be out here. Why? Because our flight path was down here, right? Simple as that. If you keep these things in mind, now I know, okay, right? Okay, well, now everybody's going to be coming from the white part of the zone and running in, okay? If I want a quiet place to be, I need to be where everybody is not. So I need to get to the top of the zone, right? High point, lightning rod, thunder watch. If I get to these areas, maybe even parts of the wall, maybe maybe it will be relatively quiet, right? The busiest shit areas are going to be Stormcatcher, Command Center. The wall's probably going to see a little bit of traffic, but not as much because the bulk of the map is on the south. Pretty simple. Now, as zones get small, the only other things that you need to consider, okay? I want you to consider that now the zone is about to get real tiny, right? The next zone is going to be real small. So now consider, let's say, this is the zone now, okay? Green is close to our final circle, right? There's maybe a zone or two after that. Now I need to be considering, okay, I know, once again, that most of the traffic is going to be all in this red area. And they're going to be pushing towards the edge of the zone. These are when people who are not aware of rotations and zones are going to get smashed. This is when the herd thins because all of the teams in the red area are going to run straight in. A few of the good teams will actually take an intelligent path. They will rotate, right? They will roll the edge of the zone where there is less traffic and take a less traveled path to get into the next zone safely. But all of the rest of the people are basically going to rush the edge of the zone and they're going to collide and have a fight. And I can either stay nearby and hold them out, get some KP from it, get some loot from it, but I gotta keep in mind it's gonna be risky, it's gonna get messy, there's gonna be a lot of people just flying in by the seat of their pants. But also I need to consider in this small of a zone, here's the other important piece. We've thought about people flow, now we need to think about where the power positions are, okay? We know there's gonna be some more zones. If I take a risk and I hold the edge of zone, I risk losing a power position. So in this zone, for example, the zones typically like to end on points of interest or very close to them. So I can tell you from this zone that more of High Point is in this zone than Lightning Rod, and Thunderwatch isn't in this zone. There's a little bit of Cave in this zone. So more than likely, just based off of sheer percentage of what is in this finalish zone, High Point is going to be where it actually closes. So I can take a risk, get myself to High Point, and hold the power position. Because statistically, just based on how much of this zone is High Point, it's probably going to close at High Point. And if I'm anywhere else, more often than not, I'm going to have to rotate to High Point anyway. This is not always true. But this is how you get a general idea of putting yourself in the right place more often than not if you haven't memorized final zones yet. You can memorize final zones, but there is a lot of them and it takes time. This will help you memorize final zones because you're thinking like this. And next time you see zone like this, you're going to know, well, shit, this zone closed right here. Closed right there. That's exactly where it closed. So I know that, okay, we're going to use this building and then we're going to move into that when it closes all the way. Done. Easy. Right? So when you see things like this, the only trick is to consider where it might end. And if you don't know exactly where it ends, where it might end, and what building in this area would be the strongest if you had to move or if you had to hold. Right? So I just need to consider that, okay, well, this building is tough to defend. So you know what? It's a little tough to defend. There's going to be a lot of edge teams trying to fight for this building because remember, all these people I've pushed into the zone down here. This is kind of one of the only buildings they could take. Maybe I don't want to be in that building. Maybe instead, I want to be in this back building because everybody's going to fight for the front building, right? If I'm in this back building, it's very unlikely that a lot of teams are going to make it all the way to the back of the zone because of how they had to travel. They're going to take the buildings closest to them, right? And so I want to be in this back building. That's where I'm going to be. I think it's going to be less traffic. I I think everybody's going to fight in the other buildings. They're going to fight for the other buildings. I don't want to have to defend against the 6, 7, 8 teams that are left. I'm going to let them fight it out. I'm going to hold this back building where there's very low traffic, and then we're going to clean up and win this game. It's that simple. So consider where people are coming from, where people are on this map or in this zone, where the bulk of the people are going to be in this zone, and how they're going to travel, right? So that's it. If you think about those things, now you're going to be in really good shape to take stronger positions and be in less chaotic positions, right? Because everybody's pushed the edge of this zone here. I know everybody's going to be down here, sort of, right? They're going to push to the first building that they come across. So it's going to either be the one here at Lightning Rod or this building. So those two buildings are going to see the most number of people fighting to get to some sort of secure place. So if I hold those buildings, I have to prevent everybody from reaching it, which can get chaotic, or I can play a little bit safer and play a back building. Maybe I want to get chaotic. Maybe I enjoy that. Maybe I have a strong team. Maybe I'm comfortable with that. I could pick up all the KP, all the kill points, or get a bunch of kills and loot by holding these buildings that I know everyone's going to come to. It's a risk, but now you can make this risk an educated decision. If you think like this, if you put everything together like this, you're going to figure out the really nice ways to do it. The only other thing that I would add, if you want to have cleaner movements, as an example, just run the edge of zones. Run the edge. If you run around the edge, you're going from a highly trafficked place to a lower traffic place, right? And it's just going to be less people that you have to contest. If I'm running in with everybody else, I run the risk of getting caught in storm. I run the risk of fighting a bunch of squads. I run the risk of people holding us and waiting for us all. And then we're in a chaotic, problematic situation. Or I can just take the rotation. I can rotate the edge of zone. I can roll into a less traveled area and have a more controlled, tame approach. This is how you master your rotations. This is how you should be thinking of your map. This is how you need to think. Right now, we're in a place with Storm Point where we all don't have the final zones memorized, so I can't tell you exactly where most final zones are, but it doesn't matter because with this logic, I'm going to be 10 steps ahead of almost any squad on the map. Almost any squad on the map is now going to be behind my movement, and they're not going to be as planned and as tactical as I am. And if you apply this to your game, you're going to win more often. You're going to climb ranks faster. Whatever your goal is, this is going to do it. And everything is going to feel a little less chaotic and a little more beautiful. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. We're going to make a lot more of these. I stream almost every day on YouTube. Right now, our schedule is a 1:30 p.m. Central Time start. Drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel, watch more of my videos, come and join us on live. I love you guys all. Thank you so much.